G'day and welcome to part 3 of Richard Shotton's awesome chat with us on the Spirited Speaker series. Richard is the author of the bestseller, The Choice Factory, a great book on how to use behavioural science within marketing. I'm Ed Stenning, Marketing Director at Beam Suntory, and I have the brilliant job of asking Richard a question on a topic that I am deeply engrossed in. So Richard, mate, help us out here. We know that social proof is an important driver of consumer behaviour in shopper marketing. How do you think COVID is going to impact social proof?
One of the most important insights about consumer behaviour from behavioural science is that of social proof. It's a really important idea and I think has lots of relevance for retailers. So social proof is the idea that when consumers make decisions, they don't do it as discrete, atomised individuals, but instead they look around to what other people are doing. And if a particular shop, a particular course of behaviour, a particular brand seems popular, it will become more popular still. That's not speculation. There's a lot of evidence for social proof. It's probably one of the most well-proven biases in social psychology. One of the most famous studies is one by Robert Cialdini. So he was Professor of Marketing and Psychology at Arizona State University. And in his famous study, he worked with a hotel chain in Southwest USA, and he persuaded them to let him change the messages you see in hotel rooms encouraging you to reuse your towel. So he randomly split the rooms into 3 different groups. First group of rooms saw the control message. So people were told, please reuse your towel because it's good for the environment. And in that scenario, about a third, 35% of people reuse their towels. Next set of rooms, Cialdini gets rid of all the logical, rational reasons for behaving, and instead he uses a social proof message. In this situation, he makes it clear what the norm of behaviour is. So he says, please reuse your towels because most guests do so. And in that scenario, you saw a 9 percentage point, a 25% increase in reuse rates. So you go up to 44% of people reuse their towels. Now, the first thing you can take from this is make it clear about your shop's popularity. If you tell people you're the most popular cafe, the most popular watch retailer, the most popular pub, you will become more popular still. So that's the first thing to do. But then remember, there was another set of rooms in Cialdini's experiment. In this final set of rooms, Cialdini began to wonder whether other people were equally influential on us. And he began to wonder whether we are more influenced by people who are relevant to us. So he made a little tweak to the messaging and he tried to make a tenuous link with the audience. He said, in that final group of rooms, he said, please reuse your towels because most guests who've stayed in this particular room have done so. And that was the most successful message. In that room, a full 49% of people reused their towels. That's a 40% increase on the control. So it's not enough just to say you are the most popular newsagent or most popular clothes shop. What you should say is that you are the most popular amongst a relevant group. Now, it doesn't have to be particularly insightful. You remember, Cialdini made a very tenuous link with the audience. So even saying you're the most popular restaurant at Gatwick or the most popular restaurant at Heathrow, that will be enough to change people's behaviour. But that will get you some impact on consumers. But if you want to be really influential, what I think you should do is move from these very literal applications of behavioural science to more lateral applications. You don't have to just directly state your popularity. Think about the ways you can imply your popularity. If that sounds a bit abstract, think of the example of Apple. So when Apple launched their iPod back in early 2000s, they were not the market leader. Lots of other brands had got to market before Apple. Motorola, Sony, lots of people. So Apple couldn't honestly go out and say they were the most popular brand. But luckily for Apple, those other retailers, those other brands, had allowed their popularity to become invisible. Now, if you saw someone on the tube and they were listening to an MP3 player, you had no idea what brand they were listening to, because the hardware with the branding was in their pocket, and all you could see was the earphones they were listening with, and all those earphones were indistinguishable. They were all black or dark grey. So the competition had allowed their success to be invisible. What Apple did so brilliantly was in all their advertising, all their China advertising, they made a big play of their white earbuds, their distinctive white earbuds. So as soon as you saw anyone listening through white earbuds, you knew they were listening to Apple. So Apple appeared like they were the market leader long before they actually were. Now that set in train a virtuous circle of social proof. So yes, you should be literally claiming popularity whenever you can. You're the most popular clothes store, or you have 1,000 shoppers, or you're the most popular clothes store in this particular airport. But where social proof gets really powerful is when you behave in a very distinctive way, visually, through your design, through your branding, and because distinctive things are far more noticeable, you then look like you're the market leader long before you actually are. But there's one other point of interest from Cialdini's study. So his study about the towers is quite a famous one, so many of you might know that already. But what's less well known is Cialdini then ran a follow-up study. And this was much more like standard market research. He recruited a group of participants and he said to them, look, imagine you're going to a hotel and imagine you saw one of these three messages: the social proof message, the tailored social proof message, or the environmental message. Which do you think would influence your behaviour? Now, what do you think people said? People claimed they would be influenced by the environmental message. Now that's in complete opposition to what actually motivated them. People said it was the environmental message, but actually when he observed behaviour, it was the social proof messages that were far more influential. And that is a key finding of behavioural science. What people say motivates them and what actually motivates them are wildly different. So if you are thinking about tactics to change the behaviour of shoppers in airports, don't go out and ask people what motivates them. They'll give you loads of answers, but often they'll send you off in completely the wrong direction. Instead, think about understanding consumers in the same way a psychologist might. Rather than ask people what motivates them, what psychologists do is set up simple test and control experiments. And that allows you to observe behaviour, and that is a far more accurate guide to customers. So if you do one thing differently from this video, stop asking people what they do and instead start observing them.
Love it, Richard. Understanding what truly motivates shoppers and not just jumping in on what they say is cracking advice, especially during COVID, as what people say and what people do seem to be two very different things in times like these. Richard, again, thank you for joining us, mate. Now, folks, if you've loved what Richard shared and want to see the other two parts of this episode, please head over to our Spirited Speaker YouTube channel, where you can learn about price sensitivity and how human habits can change in a crisis. So, thanks for watching, and until next time, cheers.